Well, I see they're still pushing the old alien invasion thing. I thought we'd dispelled all of that. I thought that was one of those things, you know, that the cabal, the one world government, the psychopaths had dismissed as actually one of their tools in their toolbox that had failed, that had broken. But no, they're determined. They're going to tell us that there is an alien invasion and it's still going on. And at some point, no doubt, Project Bluebeam will happen and we'll see all this wonderful technology, which is nice to know the technology exists, that they can project the alien spaceships in the sky and give the illusion that they're flying over us. And the sad part is that in order to do this, they'll probably shoot down a few planes, which will be murder, of course, and make a few explosions on the ground. And the normal people who have yet to wake up may well go, oh my goodness, this is happening. And they're feeding stories into the press and everywhere, leaking out this story over time, so that when this event actually happens and we all get to see the movie in real life, we're supposed to actually believe it's true. Well, one of the ways that they do this is by feeding out these stories on various YouTube channels. And I have to say, I was quite amused to see a story appear on Redacted. Now, Redacted is, as you may know, you may be viewers of it, is a serious news channel by ex-anchor from the news, and he's set up, I think his name's Clayton, and he's with his lovely wife, and they've set up and they do their news stories, and they're very reliable mostly. But up came this particular story about an alien being interviewed, and they were taking it very seriously. They had this guy who was talking about it so enthusiastically that it was almost, with so much information, it was almost as if he'd been briefed so well that he was desperate to give every last little bit of the briefing out. It seemed as if it was just, well, to me it looked like he was clearly making it all up or lying, and it wasn't true, and he was desperately just trying to say it all in this sort of enthusiastic way, which belied the fact, really, if there was an alien who was being interviewed, I think he would be a little bit, his approach would have been different. But anyway, that's a side story to the actual footage that they showed. And so there was this footage of this alien that seemed to have supposedly been hurt, being interrogated by the military in Area 51, or 5-1 as they apparently call it, if you're in the know. It doesn't really matter to me, I'm not in the know. But there I could see this alien in this dark room with this tiny pool of light on them, and they said, oh yes, we have to keep it dark for, you know, to protect the alien's eyes, which are big eyes after all, unblinking eyes, the same sort of eyes that you see in perhaps a film like The First Men on the Moon in 1960 with Lionel Jeffries, you know, sort of Ray Harryhausen type animation, those sort of things. He looked very much like that. And whilst the alien moved in a very peculiar way, in a very unrealistic way, in a very unnatural way, in a very pretend way, it could clearly a puppet. I mean, it was so clearly a puppet. And people may say, oh, but how do we know? How do we know? Well, apparently one puppeteer, I gather, has already said that this is a complete fake, that you can tell by the movement that it's not real, it's not genuine. It is how a puppet would move, which is in this sort of very odd little fashion of tiny sort of little movements. But anyway, more than that, you can tell it's a fake. I mean, just look at it. I mean, your gut reaction is that's not real. But also think about it. Here you are in Area 51 with an alien from another domain, wherever, a planet or whatever, it's crash landed, and you've got him, and you want to record an interview. And so what do? You just have one camera that can barely see him, that's very grainy. Wouldn't you have had several cameras from all different angles? Certainly one with that night vision that you get, you know, that sort of green stuff that they do. You've seen it on Most Haunted, probably. Anytime you see a haunted programme, you get those night cameras, don't you? They're all in green. Oh gosh, there's a ghost. What was that? Oh blimey, there's something round the corner. You'd certainly have that filming. You'd have another camera that would have the gain really open. It might be grainy in the Lightroom, but you'd have the grain so you could see a lot more again. And you might have one camera that is filming, but you definitely have more than one. And so it just seemed completely implausible that this was true. But it was being represented as if this was a new find. And of course, I looked at the comments and blow me, of course, people were saying, oh, yeah, I've seen this. This footage is around on the internet. So I did a bit of a search, and I'll put the links in the description, because I found that somebody had posted the video 4 years ago, and so it had probably been seen. The other thing is, if it was a genuine alien and they were trying to keep it secret, I have enough trouble just dancing around the terms and conditions on YouTube. Don't you think YouTube would have whipped it away? It wouldn't be allowed on, it would have been taken off, that redacted would have been closed down. Don't you think that would have happened? This is clearly part of a bigger picture, this false flag to get us to believe that there is going to be an alien invasion. First of all, you've got to get the normies, the people who are not quite awake, the normal people going about their lives, to actually believe yet another of these myths, like man-made global warming, you know, by drip, 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 little story here, little whistleblower there, little bit of something here. Oh yeah, no, there's aliens, they're all coming.